Have you ever opened your banking app, looked at your balance, and quietly asked yourself, where did all my money go? You know you didn't buy a brand new car. You didn't book an expensive vacation. You didn't spend thousands of dollars in a single day. Yet somehow, your savings keep getting smaller. Your paycheck arrives, you feel relieved, and just a few weeks later, it's almost gone. If that sounds familiar, you're far from alone. Millions of Americans experience the exact same cycle every single month. And here's what's surprising. The reason usually isn't one big purchase. It's dozens, sometimes hundreds, of tiny decisions that barely feel like spending. A coffee before work, lunch delivered to your office, a streaming service you forgot to cancel, a shopping app that made buying just a little too easy. Each purchase feels harmless, almost invisible, but together, they quietly create one of the biggest financial leaks in modern life. Today, we're going to uncover why this happens, why your brain barely notices it, and how a simple habit could be costing you thousands of dollars without you ever realizing it. Welcome to Capital Science. Let's begin. Most people believe financial problems start with low income, but that's not always true. In fact, many people earning $60, $80, even $100,000 a year still struggle to build savings. Why? Because income is only one side of the equation. The other side is behavior, and behavior is where money quietly disappears. Imagine this. It's Monday morning. You stop at your favorite coffee shop. $5. No big deal. A few hours later, you order lunch because you're too busy to cook. $15. On the way home, you stop for snacks. Another $10. That evening, your music subscription renews, then your video streaming service, then your cloud storage. Individually, none of these purchases feel expensive. In fact, your brain barely reacts because every payment is small. But here's what most people never calculate. $5 today becomes $35 this week. $35 becomes around $150 this month. And before the year ends, those tiny purchases have quietly turned into thousands of dollars. Not because you made one terrible decision, but because you made the same small decision again and again and again. That's how money disappears, not with a loud explosion, but with a slow, almost invisible leak. And that's exactly what companies are counting on. They don't need you to spend $1,000 today. They'd rather have you spend $10 every single month for the next 10 years. Because small payments don't trigger the same emotional resistance as large ones. And that's where the real game begins. But here's something even more surprising. This isn't happening because you're bad with money. It's happening because your brain was never designed for modern spending. Thousands of years ago, our ancestors didn't have credit cards, one-click shopping, food delivery apps, or subscriptions that renewed automatically. Every purchase required effort. Today, spending money takes less than 5 seconds. One tap, one click, one swipe, and it's done. The easier spending becomes, the less your brain feels the pain of paying. Researchers have found that paying with cash feels more painful than paying with a card. And paying with a card feels more painful than tapping your phone. Why? Because the farther you are from physical money, the less real the purchase feels. That's exactly why digital payments have changed the way we spend. Think about the last time you bought something online. Did you actually feel like money was leaving your pocket? Probably not. You simply pressed a button, and seconds later, the purchase was complete. No cash, no counting, no hesitation, just convenience. And convenience is expensive when it's combined with impulse. Companies understand this better than anyone. That's why their apps save your payment details. They send limited time offers, flash sales, personalized recommendations. Not because they want to save you money, because they know the less time you have to think, the more likely you are to buy. Every notification, every discount, every buy now button is carefully designed to make spending feel effortless. And when spending feels effortless, saving becomes much harder. Now let's talk about one of the biggest changes in modern spending: subscriptions. At first, they seem harmless. $9 a month, $12 a month, $15 a month. That's less than the cost of dinner. So your brain says, it's not a big deal. But here's the problem. Most people don't have just one subscription. They have music, video streaming, cloud storage, AI tools, fitness apps, gaming memberships, shopping memberships. And sometimes they're paying for services they haven't used in months. Imagine you have 8 subscriptions. Each one costs around $15. That's $120 every month. Over a year, that's more than $1,400. Now ask yourself, if someone offered me $1,400 in cash today, would I spend it on these exact subscriptions? For most people, the answer is no. But because the payments are spread out month after month, they become almost invisible. This is called subscription blindness. You stop noticing because nothing demands your attention. The payment happens automatically. Your bank account gets a little smaller. Life goes on. And that's exactly how companies want it to work. They don't want you thinking about every payment. They want you forgetting that it even exists. Because the longer you forget, the longer you keep paying. One forgotten subscription may not matter, but 10 forgotten subscriptions can quietly cost thousands of dollars over the years. And the scary part is, most people don't discover them until they finally check their bank statement, line by line. That's when they realize they weren't losing money all at once. They were losing it a few dollars at a time. Here's where most people make a mistake. They only count the money they've already spent. But smart investors look at something else. The money that could have grown. Let's imagine you spend $100 every month on unnecessary purchases. At first, it doesn't seem like much. $100 can't change your life, right? But what happens? If you keep doing it for 10 years, you've spent $12,000. Now here's the more important question. What if, instead of spending that same $100 every month, you invested it? Not in anything risky, just a simple, low-cost index fund that grows over time. Suddenly, that same money doesn't stay $12,000. It starts working for you. It earns returns. Those returns earn even more returns. And slowly, your money begins making money. This is called compound growth. Albert Einstein is often credited with calling compound interest the 8th wonder of the world. Whether or not he actually said it, the idea remains powerful because compound growth rewards one thing: time. The earlier you start, the less money you actually need to invest. That's why someone who starts at 25 often ends up with more wealth than someone who starts at 40, even if the second person invests more money. Time is an investor's greatest advantage. Unfortunately, every unnecessary purchase does the opposite. Instead of building your future, it quietly steals time, growth, and opportunity. That's the cost most people never see. They notice the coffee. They notice the subscription. They notice the delivery fee. But they never notice the future wealth those dollars could have created. And that's the hidden price of small spending habits. You don't need a higher salary to start building wealth. You don't need to stop enjoying life. What you need is awareness. Because the moment you notice where your money is going, you take back control. Here's a simple challenge. For the next 7 days, write down every single dollar you spend. Everything. The morning coffee, the late night snack, the online purchase you almost forgot about. Don't judge yourself. Just observe. Because what gets measured gets managed. At the end of those 7 days, look at the list. Ask yourself, did this purchase actually improve my life? If the answer is no, don't feel guilty. Simply make one small change, not 10, just one. Skip one unnecessary expense each week. Then invest that money instead. Small habits don't create small results. They create big results over time. Because wealth isn't built by one lucky decision. It's built by hundreds of smart ones. Remember, money rarely disappears all at once. It disappears one small choice at a time. And fortunately, wealth is built the very same way. If you enjoyed this video and want more documentaries that explain the science of money, subscribe to Capital Science, because understanding money is the first step toward keeping more of it. I'll see you in the next video.